Fulham 2, Chelsea 1, full time at Craven Cottage. Both teams at opposite points of the season, as you would have predicted from the start. Fulham have reached 4 games in a row with wins for the first time since 1966, while Chelsea currently has 1 win out of the last 9 under Potter. First, let's cover the game and the highlights from Fulham before we look at Chelsea, where they are. We all know they're in the mud, and honestly, it's not going to get any better. No turnarounds happening this season, or I doubt even the next. So we'll dive into that. But first, the highlights. Willian, Carlos Vinicius gets the goals for Fulham. All pressure from Fulham from the start, creating chances. And same for Chelsea, honestly, which you wouldn't really expect from the eye test. Fulham was always putting on the more dangerous chances, putting in crosses, quick counterattacks, 1-2 balls up the field. Chalobah with a mishit header towards Kepa leads Mitrovic to carry on to Cordova-Reed, shot off the crossbar. Not even 2 minutes later, Willian, top of the box, puts Cesar Azpilicueta in the mud, and deflection bounces in. 1-0, expected after the first half hour. Goes into halftime. Koulibaly grabs an equalizer from a Mount cross free kick that was off the post. Wide open goal, back in it. 10 minutes later, João Felix red card. I don't know if it's João Felix not wanting to be on the pitch with that Chelsea team. I don't think he was expecting to be on the field where they're struggling against Fulham for his first game of Chelsea, his debut. But honestly, fair play to him for someone actually showing some fight. But you can't do that. Can't do that. And honestly, I don't even understand why he's there in the first place. He's going back to Atletico Madrid, who he's agreed to sign an extended contract with them despite their poor form in La Liga. So it's a weird transfer initially, and he hasn't started it well. Moments later, Carlos Vinicius grabs the winner. Nice header. Absolute shambles in the back. Kepa, proving once again he shouldn't be between the sticks for Chelsea. Shouldn't have been there 2 years ago. Somehow he finds himself in that position and again makes a mistake. And Koulibaly, showing his age, doesn't track his man, and it's what shouldn't be is eventually a free header for Vinicius. Not much happens after that. Fulham control the game, 2-1. 8 shots to 20. Fulham not having the majority of chances, but clearly making the most of things, with Chelsea mostly having half chances. With 10 shots on target, we're not looking like the most dangerous side. Fulham honestly could have had 3 or 4 against this Chelsea side. Even possession. I mean, Fulham are on a high right now. They're sitting at 6th in the table, a team you'd expect to be floating around relegation zone in 18th, a yo-yo club constantly up and down, are now in contention for the Europa League, which is wild to think about. Meanwhile, Chelsea sitting at 10th. 1 win, 3 draws, 5 losses under Potter since coming in. The tendency is to look at the manager, look at Potter. What are you going to do to turn these results around? What are you doing that you keep losing games? Everyone's going to be gunning for him to be gone. It hasn't worked after 10 games. Get a new guy in. It's what they try to do. That's what Chelsea always does with their managers. But if you look at their lineup, you're starting with Chalobah, Silva, and Koulibaly in the back. You have a young academy prospect, had a few years of experience with Chalobah, and then you have late 30 Thiago Silva and Koulibaly sitting in the back, who are both well past their prime. Zakaria, promising prospect in the middle, Kovacic, Mount accompanying him, and then you have a young academy prospect on the left with Hall and Azpilicueta on the right. What Azpilicueta is doing in this team, I have no clue. Havertz and Felix up top eventually becomes just Havertz. You'd expect more, but I really don't think you can blame the manager for this one. Potters came into the job with Chelsea already hovering around 10th, and you're going to expect results with a team that has Arrizabalaga in goal, Koulibaly, Silva, and Azpilicueta as your main defenders outside of Chalobah, who had an absolute stinker today. He looked like he was 15 on that pitch. It looked like he never played a Premier League game. And for him, I hope he does better. He's a young guy. He has a lot of promising talent in him, and I think he could do well, but he really struggled today, and so did Azpilicueta. It seems that anyone with pace will beat him down that right-hand side. Thiago Silva is surprisingly Chelsea's best defender by far, being 37. And Koulibaly, who's been rumored to go to Chelsea since 2015, you think, is here now, and he's looks like he should be starting his retirement in Turkey or something. He really looks out of place. And with that kind of lineup, what do you expect from Potter? He hasn't had a single transfer window for him. He hasn't even reached 10 games. And Chelsea is currently in the midst of their worst form for decades, honestly. But got to give credit to Fulham, Willian doing his thing down the left-hand side. Everyone wrote him off after he went to Brazil, and now he's back and currently playing a good part in Fulham's best spell in the Premier League with what the stats say is forever. Andres Pereira carrying this team in the middle of the field, creating all the attacking chances, had the assist for the first goal, really showing his talent. Deckard over Reed, solid right hand. Paulinho has actually been quite the signing for Fulham, is only getting better game by game. And you really don't see this Fulham team slowing down anytime soon. So hats off to them. But again, for Chelsea, it's their transfer policies. It doesn't seem like it's really been set in place. You hope that Potter would have some type of influence on that. Contrary to the likes of Tuchel, who's usually been playing with money ever since he left Dortmund, going to PSG, and now at Chelsea, he's always had money in the bank. Potter's not used to that, and hopefully he brings a new look on things, but it doesn't look like it'll turn around anytime soon. You look at their recent signings, it's all been big money signings, not really putting a lot of thought to it other than the name and the hype around the players. João Felix, Kai Havertz, Kepa Arrizabalaga, Kovacic, who's actually done pretty well for them. It's, and looking at their bench, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, what are you doing on that team? What are you doing? Marc Cucurella, what are you doing on that team other than not defending? Conor Gallagher, someone they should be using to his full ability, is absolutely stinking it so far, especially after that brilliant form he had with Crystal Palace the season prior, stinking it. And Jorginho, someone who's past their prime. So you have an aging squad of Chelsea players who don't really have a clear identity of what they want to be. They haven't had a single identity ever since Tuchel is there other than defend. You have no attack. And it's giving me reminiscent vibes of what happened to Arsenal, what happened to United. Buying those big name signings, expecting goals to just start flowing in, regardless of the manager, regardless of tactics. Names do not get you trophies. Names don't get you wins. And that's what Chelsea has been riding on for the past 15 years. Abramovich leaves, or basically gets booted out of the club for reasons, obviously. And now you're bringing in an American owner, similar to the likes of Arsenal and United. Don't have a clear identity, don't have a clear structure in place of what type of club you want to be. And so you start buying names. That's all it is. Names don't make a team. You don't have a consistent manager to build a team around. Chelsea has been rotating through managers every 2-3 years for the past decade and a half. I think their longest stint has honestly been Mourinho, which only lasted 3 years. And you look at United, started after Ferguson left. You bring in a manager, don't get the results. New one comes in, buy some big names, don't get results, repeat the process. Arsenal was experiencing the same thing in a different form. They were too resistant to let go of their manager and just kept pulling in money, but then started to lose that status of a big club. Players did not want to play there. And so now you're stuck in a position where you're forced to rebuild. And now you're looking at Arsenal right now is comfortably sitting on top of the table and could move up to 7 points on top of City by the end of the weekend. It's really not promising for Chelsea. I don't really think it's going to turn around in these next 20 games that's left in the season. One out of 9. You're out of cup competitions. You're still in the Champions League somehow. Don't see you guys staying in there for long. And it's really not looking good. And for the future, unless these next transfer windows are really a hit for Potter, really a hit for Chelsea, then I don't think things will really get better in the near future. And I think the big mistake would be letting go of Graham Potter, because you let him go, you're looking to like the biggest names. You'll try to go for Zidane. You'll try to go for Pochettino, who Pochettino would probably be the most likely manager to come in if you let go of Potter. But I think it's the most naive thing ever to let go of a manager before they get a full transfer window under their belt. But with a team like Chelsea, a club like Chelsea, wouldn't put it past them. Honestly, it's shocking and it's worrying. If you're a Chelsea fan, you have Crystal Palace on Sunday, and then you have Liverpool, and then Fulham again, West Ham, and then you start the round of 16 against Dortmund in the next 5 games. Crystal Palace will be a tough game. They had a rough game back, few red cards, but they bounced back with their following win, and it's going to be a tough game. You're playing at home, then you got to go to Anfield. If you don't pick up a win against Crystal Palace, that's going to be one win in 10. Then you're moving to Liverpool the following Saturday. Both teams fighting for a top 4 finish. And right now you'd put your money on Liverpool, and then the following week and a half, you get Fulham again. So it'll be really interesting to see where these next few games go, but I think it is truly a crisis that Chelsea find themselves in this season and where they are right now. If they could turn it around, but I wouldn't put money on it. It's seeming to be all of the right ingredients, or all of the wrong ingredients for that fact, that really show signs of a long rebuild that is gonna need to take place, or else you're just gonna prolong this druggy, just slumber and slump you're gonna be stuck in, like Manchester United. Manchester United and Arsenal both prolonged the rebuild, trying to just immediately shoot up to success, and ended up hovering around 4th to 8th place for 8 years. So I'd love to see Chelsea back in the top 4 race. I think they have plenty of talent in their squad. I think Graham Potter is an excellent manager, and I think he can do well under Chelsea. But if he's going to be given that time, given the transfers he wants, will determine how that goes. So I'll probably see you guys later this weekend, as we have the Manchester Derby coming up and the London Derby coming up, and what was supposed to be the El Clasico on Sunday has been postponed due to their cup competition final, the Copa del Rey. So I'll see you guys later. Peace.